You're watching Pyro Media Network.
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. Alright, let's start the show.
Christian ain't good with forgiving, ain't turning my cheek, now I'm raising that pistol. Lord, forgive me. With all my prayers, with all my strength, with all my pain, I'm fighting this war. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. No turning back, 'cause I'm free.
Hey, spread the word to my people. Yeah, the spirit fell on me, told me fight against the evil, not turn. Not turning, yeah. Fuck the sticks now, nigga, give me burners. Hold up, hey, spread the word to my people. God, spirit fell on me, told me fight against the evil, not turner. We in the sticks, now we all got burners. Hold up, voices in my head say I need to be.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dirty Laundry, the podcast with KO. Here we pull no punches and dive headfirst into the challenging conversations that our community needs to have. From economics, inner city violence, to abortion, religious fanaticism, and of course, white folks and everything in between. We tackle the issues that shape the Black experience with honesty, courage, and a vision for growth. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I say all the time, some of these conversations are going to get messy. But hey, that's why we do laundry. We wash it, we rinse it, and we rebuild, because it's our duty to reclaim and control the narratives that are associated with our experiences. So with that, welcome to Dirty Laundry, y'all. Let's start this pre-wash with Kwame Speaks.
What's going on, brother?
What's happening, man? Boy, it's been a hell of a week, boy. Your man's gotta
listen.
I gotta get this mouth done, man. I got surgery to get done. So, woo.
Listen, you got to do what you got to do, man. Listen, it's a part of growing with age. You feel me?
Yeah, but I'm aging like fine wine. You feel?
I know that's right, brother. I know that's right. Listen, we got only a couple of things on this here pop culture news pre-wash here. First up, I don't know what's wrong with people, but I have a feeling that this person is of the Caucasian persuasion. But we got some grim situations going on. Apparently, we had a dude who imagine like you're recovering at a hospital bed, just looking out the window, and then all of a sudden you see somebody that's dressed like death themselves. Okay, that exact nightmare scenario played out at Yitsby Glen Clede Hospital in St. Asaph, North Wales. Yeah, it's definitely Caucasian. When 26-year-old Leon Gillespie decided to put on a full-on Grim Reaper outfit, complete with a long blade, and camp out on the hospital roof to stare down staff patients, and unexpected visitors. For 50 terrifying minutes, Gillespie had the entire medical complex on edge as he paced above the entrance, making noise and waving his weapon around like he was waiting for someone's soul to expire. It took 4 police cars and a fire engine truck pulling up to the scene to finally get the self-proclaimed Spectre down and slap cuffs on him. North Wales police later confirmed that Gillespie was charged with causing a nuisance or disturbance on NHS premises without a reasonable excuse. What is wrong with the people?
I'm so glad that you point out these lewd ass acts from this different ethnic proclivity, because when I start talking about certain topics, I'm saying in comparison to what the hell they be doing, they have no room to talk about black people. So
at all.
Fuck all. Come on.
Okay, but before we get started, I do want to throw a little bit of black excellence in. We do have to throw some kudos to Tyler Perry, because Tyler Perry goes above and beyond for the people. He puts his money where his mouth is. Okay, the brother is back at it again, proving that when God gives you a platform, the best thing you can do is use it to pull somebody else up. The entertainment mogul and billionaire philanthropist quietly changed another life by stepping in to cover the remaining graduates school tuition for Janae Dewberry. This is Janae Dewberry right here, and she's a bright young scholar who was headed. She's a bright young scholar who headed to Cambridge, but hit a financial wall right before crossing the finish line. Dewberry, an Alabama native who, fresh off earning her English degree from Tuskegee University, took to Instagram to share the major blessing with her followers. She revealed that while getting accepted into the prestigious Harvard Graduate School of Education was a dream come true, the cost almost turned that dream into a nightmare. Even when generous financial aid from Harvard, she was still left staring down a hefty financial gap that threatened to hold her back. She then posted this right here. She said, "Thank you, Tyler Perry. It has been a long journey. After years of writing, building, networking, and earning my degree at Tuskegee University, I was accepted into Harvard. Harvard gave me generous financial aid, but I still faced a significant financial gap and did not know how I would make this dream a reality, but God made a way. Thank you, Tyler Perry, for hearing my story, believing in my gifts as a writer and educator, and covering the remaining costs of my Harvard education. Your generosity has opened the door for me to continue my education, strengthen my voice as a writer and educator, and move closer to the forthcoming books, educational work I have been building. You are a true light in the Black community. I love you, and I am overwhelmed, humbled, and grateful beyond words. Thank you for investing in my purpose and helping make this dream a reality." Black excellence. I know that's right.
I'm saying, listen, I clap for stuff like that, because that's kind of what we gonna be on tonight. Like, it's gonna be a show where we gotta address some shit that we be doing. But thank you for sharing that, bro. We need to see those type of things going on with our people.
I agree. All right, brother, but that's all I got for you, man.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into this spin cycle.
All right.
Woo! Man, we got some stuff to talk about today. All right. Bonnets and do-rags. Okay. Bonnets and do-rags. Is this Black culture or is this complacency? Is it? Is it Black culture or is it complacency? Who defines the terms? I remember a time in Black culture when we took tremendous pride in our appearance. Whether we were going to church, school, the grocery store, or just out in the community, we understood that the way we presented ourselves reflected not only us, but our own families and our community. Looking presentable was often viewed as a form of self-respect. Now, we're in the world of bonnet land and do-rag land, which to me, I mean, we're going to have a conversation about it. Who defines that culture and who defines whether that's acceptable socially or not? We're going to unpack this when we get back from commercial break.
So, making a run to the store real quick, wearing the same lock sock that I wore to bed last night without a care in the world about who thinks what about it, knowing that my blackness is not on the line or to be judged by any auntie or unc figure. And you would think that this would be the point where I say to black women, just wear your bonnet however you wish and just throw caution to the wind without care or concern about anyone else's opinion. But that advice would be coming from a place of privilege because judgment and consequences for men and women being perceived as unkempt in public are vastly different, particularly for black women. So instead of giving advice that's rooted in a place of privilege, indifferent to your predicament, men, how about we just dismantle the patriarchal structure that's in the way of them being able to do the things that we do so that they can be free to do the things that they want to do? How about that? Because at the end of the day, the whole issue about the bonnet ain't about the bonnet, bro. We out here.
This is Tammy from Tammy's Take, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
Hey, it's Dr. Nicole D. Vick from Dr. Victorious, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
Black mama still crying on TV. These young brothers still dying on TV. Crackers on the camera still lying on TV. 3% rappers might put it on the CD. And our leaders, most of them speechless. How you gonna preach when you ain't trying to reach us?
Hair bonnets. All of a sudden, we see black women everywhere wearing these hair bonnets. The bonnet is really just the form of it because black women have been wearing wraps on their hair forever. To tell you the truth, I don't think men really care that much about it. You know, there are some men, especially if they're in a professional field, they don't want their women walking around with a bonnet on. It's according to, your man, how he feels about you wearing the bonnet. I think it's an individual thing. Usually white men are just curious that, they don't care one way or the other. If they like a black woman, they like a black woman. They don't really care about her hair and all that other kind of trimmings. That's a black thing. On the whole, if they are interested in you before the bonnet, if they see you in the bonnet, they're going to tell you whether they prefer you to wear it or not.
Hey, listen, it has been a serious thing. This bonnet thing has been, I'm going to be honest with you. We're in the middle of a bonnet apocalypse to me. Me personally, I don't necessarily have a problem with the bonnet, but I think that there's a time and place for everything. I don't think bonnets are supposed to be worn everywhere, but check this out. Today, it's become more common to see bonnets, do-rags, pajamas, and house shoes worn in public. That raises an important question. Is this simply an evolution of black culture, or have we become complacent about the image we project? Like our parents used to always tell us, it's a time and place for everything. So now I genuinely associate when people wear bonnets in public, I automatically take it like they just don't care about how they come outside. Now, maybe I'm wrong. It's just a matter of perception. But at the same time, we have to ask ourselves another question. Are we measuring ourselves by standards that were never created by us? Something to think about. Just think about what I'm saying. Like, just like the video said, sometimes our women historically have always worn wraps. And culturally, I'm saying that's something that we've identified with throughout the histories. Throughout history, Black people have often been judged by Eurocentric ideas of professionalism, beauty, and respectability. So it's criticism of bonnets and do-rags rooted in genuine concern for self-image, or are we unconsciously enforcing standards that weren't designed with our culture in mind? Now, mind you, you got women walking around in Africa with the big headdress on. They carrying a basket on their head like this basket behind me. They would carry this through the village, and nobody ever ostracized them or talked about them for wearing that on their heads. Maybe the real issue isn't the bonnet or the do-rag at all. Maybe it's intentionality. Are we dressing for convenience because we're running errands, or have we stopped caring about how we present ourselves, or is our appearance still a reflection of dignity and self-respect, or have we lowered our own expectations? When I look back in, for example, when I look back in like the 60s and the 70s, you know, you had the evolution of culture for Black people. Black people were wearing like, you know, dashikis and, you know, all of those things that we culturally identify with, and we weren't under the scrutiny of white society, or, you know, people who feel like, you know, you're not looking the part in society. Before we start integrating, we started to have certain standards that weren't really ours culturally, if that makes sense. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not telling people what to think. That's not my objective. I'm asking the question because I believe it's worth having the conversation. Now, recently, HBCU banned Black people wearing do-rags and bonnets. And I'm saying, this is my perspective on it. Let me give you my perspective on it. I said good when I found out that we had that they restricted our people wearing bonnets and do-rags. And like I say in the show opener, it is our duty to reclaim and control the narratives that are associated with our experience, right? So if we're going to present ourselves as a people who are lackadaisical in times of complete oppression, and then our white counterparts come out and say, look, see, they don't even know how to carry themselves. I think that you should be wise enough not to fit the stereotype and conform and still separate yourself from those forced societal perceptions of what white people think what we're supposed to act like. For example, I'm not going to try to fit the stereotype of somebody who robbing and killing somebody just because I don't give a shit about what somebody thinks. I'm going to be intentional about not looking that way, not because of what I think about them, but because how it affects the other people that I'm around. I mean, when did we get out of caring about what our own people thought? You know, anybody ever seen the movie Soul Food? And the cousin that was coming to the house, everybody was like, this a hoe. Everybody knew she was a hoe, and she got shunned. I remember when I was coming up, you couldn't just act a certain way because your people would shun you for certain behaviors. You couldn't just do what the fuck you wanted to do. And excuse my expletive, but this is dirty laundry, and I like to keep it real on this show. So when did we stop caring about how we presented ourselves in public? Because even though we wore bell bottoms, clogs, you know, half shirts, rock the froze, the big earrings, we wore suits, you know, and we wore baggy clothes and stuff like that, we still didn't do, I don't think that we wore clothing that said, I just got out the damn bed. I just don't agree with that. Now, you could give me some pushback if you want to, but in this day and age where we're being judged by the society we live in, for being we're getting categorized as miscreants, less than savory, and our imagery is filled with our young people with sticks and switches, and we got the culture of my coochie pink, my booty hole brown. I definitely think it's time for us to address whether we want to be presented in that fashion or not. I mean, why would I want somebody to think that I don't care about how I look? And forget the white side. Let's not talk about the white side. Let's talk about how you feel about yourself, and really address this. If you're mature enough to say, when you see somebody come to the store in their clothes that they went to sleep in house shoes, in the little short sleeper sets, and the little shirts, and the young men is walking around with their pants all the way down to their knees, and bonnets and do-rags, you trying to tell me that you would say that's socially acceptable? Without the scrutiny of white people, I'm saying as a black person, you look at that and say, oh, well, that's cool. I don't think so. I don't think I want my son to come outside in a do-rag and present himself in a way where the society we lives in, who already considers him less than, can have validation to say the shit that they say. I just don't think that's cool. Like, maybe your stance differs. As my audience, maybe your stance differs, right? But for me, I'm saying I want us to present ourselves with being the most excellent, being the most royal, being the most dignified people that we can. I kind of want us to look down on people and be like, I don't do that. That's peasantry. I think that we should look at ourselves like that, not get laxed and be like, oh, it's cool. You could come outside in a bonnet or a do-rag. I'm saying, what does that say? Have we empowered the culture? I mean, this so-called thing that we consider culture. I look at it like it's a fad. It's a trend. It's something. So how do trends shape us culturally? So culturally, I'm saying, would you come outside in a do-rag and a bonnet and think that people are supposed to respect you? I don't know. And like I said, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm asking the question because I believe it's worth having the conversation. Have we evolved, or have we become comfortable with complacency? I don't know. I think it's something that we should consider. Run that video. I think it's time for it. Let's see it. I can't.
Respectability politics are still alive and well, unfortunately. But it is, I think we're trying to understand the nuances and the origin of it and kind of part ways with it, because we understand it is not, I don't believe, humanizing and effective.
That's why I got to shuck and jive.
Is essentially, in layman's terms, like, why do I have to do all, like, why can't I have the same liberties as every other person? Why do I have to always be on and be respectable for you to respect me? Why can't you just respect me as a human? I can't yell, I can't scream, I can't have my hair disheveled, I can't not be dressed to the nine, I can't be cute, I can't not speak eloquently or, and use these types of verbose words to get you to respect me. Yeah, I saw a guy walk into a Buc-ee's with a bonnet on, and a black woman walked up to him and said, "You making us look bad." Respectability. Politics. And listen, I'm not for the bonnet. Mm-hmm. Same. I don't do the bonnet.
Going out on the outside just because I'm like, in the bonnet for sleeping. Yeah. But then again, maybe I'm wrong for saying that. Maybe if you want to go out.
Like I'm saying, that's kind of how I feel about it too. Like I don't know how to feel about this, because I definitely don't think that we should measure ourselves by white standards, right? But I also understand socialization, right? And when socialization is at play, you say, hey, wait a minute, things move in a certain way in our society, right? So maybe we have catered to what respectability is in terms of society to fit into the mold of what white people consider civility. I wouldn't argue that. But what I'm saying, in a country where we don't have cultural exclusivity, we're forced to either assimilate or amalgamate into what is considered good behavior, for example. Now, until we stand up and say, you know what, we're going to separate ourselves from all of this crazy shit, right? We're going to separate from romanticizing white wealth standards. We're going to separate ourselves from gatekeeping culture, Me Too movements, greedy capitalisms, anything you could think of and say, we're gonna create our own identity within the confines of American society and just stand on what we believe is us, what we identify with culturally, right? Because I have the tendency to like what Italians go by, right? Italians have a code of conduct that says order is above any man's life. Without order, we live with the animals, right? They have a system of doing things, right, that every man has to adhere to. And what I notice about our people is that we don't have that code. I think that we have a free-for-all in terms of what we consider good conduct or not good conduct. There isn't a code or a rubric that we go by to determine what's good behavior. We used to have that, but we lost it. I think that we lost it when we integrated, because when I was coming up, if you was a hoe, your grandmama was like, she the hoe of the family, and everybody kind of shunned you. Like if you was like a drug addict, everybody was like, hide your stuff. Your uncle Skeeter's coming to the house and he liked to steal stuff, and everybody would kind of shun you for a certain behavior, right? When you got in trouble down the street, you got your ass whooped down the street, and then when you went home after the person who whooped your ass down the street came up the street and told your parents, you got your ass whooped again. And we had more like a filtering system to filter out what I would consider moral decay or lewd social conduct. So my question to everybody watching is like, what are we accepting as, like our culture? Why are we allowing ourselves to adapt to culture that is in this matrix, in this system, looked at as deplorable? Hey, shit, if we go to Ghana, or if we go to Nigeria, if we go to Uganda, or if we go to an African country where, these things aren't socially shunned, they looked at as social norms, then maybe you can get that off. But in America, us walking around in bonnets, I don't think that's the thing to do. Like, I really don't. I'm so up in the air on it, but I definitely agree that bonnets and do-rags shouldn't be worn at the motherfucking college. And that's just my take on it. But that's just me. Let's go ahead and go to commercial break, and then we'll come back in a minute.
Hey, how y'all doing? Real quick, this is Daryl Walter, host of the Daryl Walter Show. I know. And you are watching Pyro Media Network.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
The news is divided. Ground News puts it back together, with coverage from thousands of outlets around the world in one place. So you can spot sensational reporting, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. Beside every headline, you'll see who owns the source, how reliable it is, and if they have a political bias. multiple perspectives side by side, giving you a well-rounded view of today's biggest stories. Visit ground.news to learn more.
Black mama still crying on TV. These young brothers still dying on TV. Crackers on the camera still lying on TV. 3% rappers might put it on the CD. And our leaders, most of them speechless. How you gonna preach when you ain't trying to reach us?
All right, we back. All right, so like, okay. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pose a couple of questions because our topic for today is bonnets and do-rags. Is this black culture, or have we become complacent, right? So my first question would be, this is what I want to ask y'all. At what point did wearing bonnets and do-rags in public become socially acceptable, and what do you think changed? Like, these are questions that you really can ask yourself. Like, when did that become socially acceptable, and what pivoted that and made it socially acceptable? Because there was a time when not only was women not wearing do-rags, we definitely didn't have young teenagers and men stepping out in public with do-rags. And I know what people are going to say. I got long hair and this, that, and the third. My hair used to be down to my waist. I never had to wear a bonnet in public. Now, it might be a fashion statement. I don't know. But my question is at what point did wearing bonnets and do-rags in public become socially acceptable, and what you think changed? What do you think changed? My second question is wearing a bonnet or a do-rag in public an expression of culture, convenience, or complacency? And why? Think about what I'm asking. Is wearing the bonnet or the do-rag in public an expression of culture? Like, is this cultural? Like I was asking before. Like, if we was in Africa, I know I always see the ladies, like, if you seen Coming to America and, I am an alien. All right, she had the giant headdress, right? But that's not a bonnet. And I don't think that we wear bonnets in that regal fashion. She was wearing that headdress because it was royal. She wasn't just wearing the headdress because, I just felt like it. Well, who gonna judge me for coming outside with a bonnet on? I get to wear whatever I want to. This just my face. You get where I'm coming from? Is wearing a bonnet or a do-rag in public an expression of culture, convenience, or complacency? And why? Listen, check this out. If you tell me you wearing a bonnet because it's fashionable, I'm going to say you lying. Because I don't see nobody matching their outfit with a bonnet at the club. Come on, let's keep it real. I don't never see nobody be like, oh yeah, I'm finna match this orange up with my shirt and I'm finna wear this out, and I'm really gonna wear this like a regal headdress out in public. You are not doing that. If you say you are lying, and very few people do that for that. Men don't go and be like, shit, I'm finna match this bonnet with my polo. I'm finna put on these shorts. I'm finna throw on these shoes, and then I'm finna rock this together. Now, watch this. Rastafarians, they always wore apple hats. Now, I did wear an apple hat. An apple hat is where you put your hair in. It's a big hat. You ever seen New Jack City when he was talking to old boy? He was like, Benny, your services are no longer required. Benny had on a big apple hat. Bob Marley wore an apple hat. All of that. We're not talking about cultural forms of expression. We're talking about, is this a convenient thing? Because, like, I know people like, I'm just going to run to the store. Because, like, the way I see do-rags and bonnets is I'm going to run to the store. When I get back to the crib or when I get back to the house, I'm going to really get in my bag. I'm going to keep my waves down. I'm going to wear my do-rag. Like, in the 90s, they wore do-rags as a fashion statement, right? Like, do-rags, that was like a rap thing, right? But you definitely didn't wear it to your job. You definitely didn't wear it, like, unless you was being fashionable out in public, unless it was fashionable. But now I think that do-rags and bonnets are more about complacency. That's just me. You don't got to agree with me, but that's just how I feel about it. My next question, do our everyday public appearances influence how our children view self-respect and personal presentation? Like, if we really care about how our children see us and how you think you really sitting your kids down and going, you can wear the bonnet because it's culturally who we are. I don't think nobody sit their kids down and be like, we wear this because this is our culture. Our ancestors always wore headdresses, and do-rags is something that we already wore, this, that, and the third. And even if that is something that's passed down in our genetics, you don't sit at home and tell your kids that's why you're doing it. So let's just keep it real with ourselves for a minute. You can sell it to somebody else, but you can't sell it to me, because I know if you wore a bonnet outside, you don't sit your son down or your daughter down and be like, this is who we were when we were royal in Africa, and let's go watch Coming to America so I can show you the regal headdresses. Like, you don't do that. You don't do that. So do our everyday public appearances influence our children's view of self-respect and personal presentation? And if it doesn't matter, then it strikes to my point. You just doing it because you just want to. And that looks like willful defiance, and that's not cultural at all. Just something to think about. Write this down. Write it down. Like Smokey said, write it down. Take a picture. I don't care. All right. My next question is are we defining ourselves by our own cultural standards, or have we simply lowered our standards altogether? Remember what I told you. Remember what I said before we went to commercial break. Grandmama used to be like, that's a hoe. We don't mess with that. So that was a standard. Look, the OGs used to turn you off from the young blood. Don't get involved in this. You know what I'm saying? This more, they would turn you off of the stuff. So now we've become a people that say, you know what? We get to do what we want. But even that's reactive. That's not proactive, right? If you say white people can't determine how I carry my culture, and then say, you know what? We just going to do what we want to do. And then when somebody within your culture says, hey, we don't really want to rock that shit like that. We don't, that doesn't represent us. Then who are you in subjection to? Is this being willfully defiant? Or are you just being a rebel because we are tired of living in a strict construct that says we can't be culturally us, or we can't define what's culture for us? And does our culture holistically accept the bonnet and the do-rag as something that's associated with Black excellence? I'm just saying, it's just something that I think that we need to consider. Like, are we defining ourselves by our own cultural standards? That's first. And if we are, does the culture that we live in, because I don't think my son, like, I wouldn't let my son come out the house in a do-rag. I just wouldn't do that. So I'm one person that represents our culture that says, bullshit, you're not going outside like that. Or have we simply lowered our standards altogether? Like, I mean, if we say, okay, this is going to be some stupid, this is going to be dumb, but I'm just saying, what if one person said, we're not going to brush our teeth, right? And that's our culture. We don't brush our teeth. Are we going to accept that as Black culture? Like, man, you know what? Fuck it. I just stopped brushing my teeth altogether. Like, I don't even want to brush my teeth. Are you going to accept that? I'm saying, what if somebody be like, you know what? For example, white people be like, it's a lot of white people that be like, we don't use washcloths. They think that washcloths are a poor person's thing, and a lot of them don't take baths, and they don't wash their legs. You know what I'm saying? They don't wash their legs, right? So is that something that we should accept as, like, that's our culture? We don't brush our teeth. Somebody just start digging boogers and eating them. They be like, leave him alone. In the far off country in Africa, they make, dishes out of boogers. Is that what we gonna do? And do we decide what standard is ours? That's all I'm asking, right? My next question: if first impressions matter in every other area of life, jobs, business, dating, and networking, why should our public image be any different? I'm saying first impression is last impression in anything that you do, even within the confines of our own culture. You do know that how you see a person at first is how you think they are. So first impression genuinely be the last impression. And that's just human nature. Like, okay, if I see somebody out in public, right, a certain way, before I get to know them, I'm going to already make an assumption. Now, I'm open enough to figure out if this is really that person or not. But my assumption is always like, nah, I'm not finna deal with that until they come over and be like, nah, I'm just like this because this going on, this going on, this going on. So the question is, if first impressions matter in every other area of life, jobs, business, dating, and networking, why should our public image be any different? If it don't matter, then shit, anybody should be able to do anything. I just do not agree with a free-for-all in terms of how we are presenting ourselves in public or as a society. What happened to royal imagery? You know, a lot of our young people, you'll hear people be like, I'm a king, I'm a queen, period. Clock it. Fix your crown, sis. But I'm saying, does bonnet and do-rag culture really say king and queen? Does it really say royalty? Or is it like, I'm just going to do what the hell I want to do and bet not nobody say shit to me? I really think that's associated with it because, I mean, I'm going to get some pushback. But for me, I got standards. I mean, if you got low standards, then, I mean, I can't really argue with you if you got low standards. But for me and mine, my son got to brush his teeth. He got to wash his face. If his clothes are wrinkled, he got to clean his aesthetics up. He can't walk outside stinking. He just can't do it. I'm not going to allow him to be musty around me in public and people looking at me like, hey, you know, what the fuck going on with your son? Now, in some cultures, you can be musty. I mean, we know who they are. The Indian people are always musty. But see, culturally, they used to that shit. I don't know. If I walk in a place with you musty, you're going to be looking at me strange. But if I'm musty and got on a bonnet or a do-rag, you're going to be looking at me like I'm dirty. You're not going to take the time to come to me and be like, dang, dog, are you going through something? You're going to look at me and be like, that dude is dirty. He's a dusty dust ball. I'm just keeping it real with you. So my thing is if first impressions is last impressions, then how should we be presenting ourselves to the world? I know, I get it. We don't care about what white people think. I could care less about what white people think. Or should we care about what white people think? I don't know. But for me, I'm saying care about what I think. Care about what your mama think. Care about what your cousin think. Care about what your family standard is. And if y'all the booger diggers and the bonnet wearers and the do-rag hustlers, then shit, do that. But I genuinely believe it's our duty to control and also reclaim the narratives that are associated with our people. So if we are looked at as less than in a society that has systemically oppressed us and looked at us as slaves and less than a house dog and less than a pig, a chicken, and a cow, I don't think it's cool for us to say, you know what, they can think what they want and then perpetuate the same image and give credence and validation to what they think. I just don't see it that way. And maybe I'm wrong, shit. And maybe I'm not. But at this point, it's time for us to check the facts. So let's check the facts. All right, so checking the facts today, this is what we're going to do. Like I just said, number one, first impressions are formed very quickly. Research in psychology has consistently found that people form first impressions within seconds of seeing someone. And clothing is one of the cues, they use to make judgments about students and organizations, right? They use those same things to make assessments about that, and professionalism and competency and trustworthiness. While those judgments can be unfair, they often influence social and professional interactions. Think about that for a second. First impressions are formed quickly. So research in psychology has consistently found that people form first impressions within seconds of seeing someone, actually seeing you. And clothing is one of the cues they use to make judgments about professionalism, competency, and trustworthiness. While those judgments can be unfair, they often influence social and professional interactions. That's just a fact. Second fact, dress influences perception and opportunity. I know this to be true. Being a business owner, if you come in and look like you don't give a shit about our interview, or you don't care about your own appearance, and I'm trying to hire you for something that I think you need to be serious about, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna let you in the door if you come to the interview with a bonnet on. I ain't gonna say, and I'm a black man, I'm not gonna say, oh shit, that's cultural as hell. You really finna take my business serious. I don't think you're going to do that. So studies in organizational psychology have shown that attire affects how others perceive confidence, credibility, and authority. In workplaces, interviews, and many public settings, people dressed in clothing viewed as intentional or professional are often rated more favorably than those in sleepwear or casual at-home attire. This is about social perception, not moral worth. Think about what I'm saying to you. This is about a social perception. This ain't about your moral worth. You could have a PhD in molecular biology, but nobody's gonna know it because how you present yourself is how they see you. 3, self-presentation communicates social norms. I know this for a fact, because we live in a society where socialization is always at play. Self-presentation communicates social norms. Sociologists describe clothing as a form of non-verbal communication. You know how I know this is true? Because my area of study is social psychology. I know it to be a fact. How somebody is dressed, you gonna look at them and judge them. It's just human nature. That if I see you in a short skirt, I'm saying, yeah, I see them cheeks. What you think I'm thinking like right out the gate? Now, me, I don't think like, oh, I'm finna lick my eyebrows. This looks good. I'm thinking like, oh, she loose. She don't care about nothing she got on. Somebody can just see her right up in her, I can see what her mama made. I don't think, oh, she's so sophisticated. Oh my God, she's a brain surgeon. I do not think that out the gate. And I don't think half of the men that's looking at this think that either. Look at a woman shaking it up or walking around with them cheeks out and go, oh my God, that is a civil engineer right there. You don't do that. I'm sorry. It just is what it is, right? So sociologists describe clothing as a form of non-verbal communication. What we wear sends signals about context, identity, and expectations. Many cultures distinguish between attire intended for the home, such as robes, pajamas, bonnets, or nightcaps, and attire intended in public spaces. The discussion then becomes whether bonnets and do-rags belong in the home attire category or whether cultural norms are changing. I'm just saying, if that's the case, I get to come outside in a Rick James overcoat, a Rick James house coat, and say, give it to me, baby. And you still gonna respect me as an upstanding citizen in our community. If I came outside right now in my house robe and went to the store with a big kingly house robe on, you not gonna say that's the king of Zamunda. You not finna do that. You finna be like, this nigga is crazy. I guarantee you gonna do that. And let me have on some slippers. Either you gonna laugh at me or you gonna be like, what is this dude on? I guarantee you, if I come outside in a house coat, and that's what they call a robe for those of you who are young, if I come outside in a house coat, you're going to be looking at me crazy as a mug. Don't think that you're not. No. I know what I'm going to come outside in. I'm going to come outside in some boxer briefs and a tank top, right? Some house shoes and a do-rag. And you're not going to think that I'm tripping. You're going to say, all right, you know what? People in Africa, they come outside in their drawers all the time with a do-rag on and some house shoes. Why is white society judging me? You're not finna do that. I don't care what nobody says, right? So self-presentation communicates social norms, dress influences perception and opportunity, and first impressions are formed very quickly. These are psychological things, right? These are psychological and sociological things. Now, check this out. I want to be fair with everybody. Let me be fair. The issue isn't whether bonnets and do-rags have cultural significance. That is not the issue. That's not the issue. They absolutely do. The question is whether clothing designed primarily to protect hair at home communicates the image we intentionally want to project in public. That's the issue. Nobody's trying to take your ability to wear a do-rag or a bonnet out in public. Nobody care about that. If you run into the store, like I got something to do, my hair messed up, I want my hair messed up, I'm gonna go to a wedding, I'm gonna wear this bonnet, I'm gonna go to the store, I'm gonna get some sugar for my coffee, that's cool. But if you're wearing it as a fashion statement, or you being complacent, or you just too damn comfortable in our society as a black person, I believe, this is just me, I believe you need to change that shit. And I think you need to have more self-worth than that. Because if you that lax, I can't do nothing with you. Not in business, not in friendship, not in none of that. Because I need my woman to look like she's a queen in public. So with that, we're going to go ahead and rinse this out. All right. In this rinse cycle today, we always do a book of the week. The book of the week is Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. Stamped from the Beginning. That's our book of the week, ladies and gentlemen. This is a comprehensive history of racist ideas in America. It traces how these ideas were created, spread, and justified from the time of slavery to the present. Kendi argues that racist ideas didn't arise from ignorance or hate alone. Instead, they were often developed to justify existing systems of racial inequality, especially economic and political power structures. The book follows several key historical figures, including enslavers, politicians, intellectuals, and activists, to show how ideas about Black inferiority and white superiority were constructed and challenged over time. So once again, our book of the week is Stamped from the Beginning. So with that, let's go ahead and put it on the clothesline. Let's finish it off. Let's air it out. Woo, man. This has been to me, this has been like, this is so controversial because I got people that, they feel like we should be able to do what we want to do. But I don't know. At the end of the day, the conversation ain't really about bonnets and do-rags, y'all. It's about standards. It's about asking ourselves what image we're intentionally putting into the world. If we don't define our own standard, somebody else will define it for us. Now, before y'all get into the comments talking about it's just a bonnet, understand what I'm asking. Understand what I'm asking. I'm asking whether we've become so comfortable that we've stopped being intentional. Have we confused convenience with culture? Have we confused self-expression with self-neglect? Those are two totally different conversations. Every generation leaves a blueprint for the next one. The question is, what blueprint are we leaving? One of discipline and self-respect, or one of it don't matter? Because trust me, it always matters. Whether we like it or not, people make judgments about based on what they see before they ever hear what we have to say. So tonight, don't answer the question for me, answer it for yourself. What standard are you living by? What standard are you teaching your children? And what standard do you want attached to your name when you walk into a room? For me personally, I want people to look at me like I'm King Mufasa around this joint. And as always, this isn't about telling you how to think. It's about giving you something to think about. Until the next time, y'all, take your life off spin cycle and be intentional about every move that's attached to your name and when you walk into a room. And as always, like I said, this isn't about telling you how to think. It's about giving you something to think about. So don't forget to take your life off a spin cycle, y'all. Have a good night.
What up, everybody? This your boy KO. If you want to follow my content and see more of the interviews, you can follow me at IAMAKING Studios on Instagram or the same thing on YouTube. Hey, you never know where I'm going to pull up next. Get at your boy.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.